So, Crusader got an actual trailer, and yes, it's exactly who chat thought it was going to be. Like, chat essentially called every single character that was going to be in here that one weekend that they were teased almost. Geez, this was only last weekend this happened. Yes, Kunoichi, Vanguard, Dragon Knight, Hitman, everyone was revealed like 5 days ago, technically. So, Crusader is in. I'm surprised this dude looks so young. Young Crusader. This dude is essentially pissed Jesus. Wow! I kind of love it. He absolutely looks like a Diablo character, right? In some ways. I'm back for the people. I think he aggressively looks like Jesus, you know? He looks really like, what was all this crazy stuff back here? Like, holy crap, look at this special move. Oh my God. Wait a minute. What? He has got an Agados wall? I love it. And does it hit the opponent too? Gee, wow, look at this attack. Hang on. I just like seeing the effect range of the attack. Yes, moves should make you feel powerful, and it should be exciting to do the moves. I like it. Oh, it does! It bounces her up! What is this crazy shit? What? This looks to be like, honestly, one of the nuttiest characters so far next to Kunoichi. Because she had a bunch of Buji no Jutsu. And this guy just has like the power of God and the Holy Spirit on his side. Does he cross his chest? That's kind of amazing. Here's the funny thing, chat, is that in Japan, for a lot of media, and I think a lot of people know this is true because a lot of anime has a lot of influence from like Christian beliefs and like Christianity and references and stuff. They think it's really cool, right? They think like the story of Christianity and stuff like that is really cool, so they put it into a whole bunch of their fiction and stuff. Granted, this game is Korean, but it's being made in Japan. 100% this game is being made by Aiding, who is in Japan. And it's just because like their belief system is like completely different. To them, it looks really neat and crazy, and it's like, wow, look at all this stuff you guys believe, and that's really cool. We're gonna make an entire series of montages and fighting game characters about it and stuff. And this guy is arguably one of the best examples. So is it a Korean game or a Japanese game? Well, I'm pretty sure DNF originated in Korea, right? All right, important videos. I think we should actually start back here. These feel like they came out in a very weird order. So we're gonna start here because the basic actions has probably some of the biggest conversation topics that we need to cover before the game comes out. We're actually getting a relatively small smell of the game. So basic actions. And these trailers, I saw one on Twitter, dude. I had to watch the trailer 5 times before I actually understood what was going on. Like, I could not believe how much information they were cramming into approximately 30 seconds of video. It was, you literally have to watch this shit repeatedly to get an idea of what's going on. The game has a UI. The game has a interface of some kind. It has meter. And this UI looks very familiar, right? I don't know if anybody else has ever seen, you know, some other fighting games that look a certain way that might also be conveniently made by the same developer, but all I'm saying is that there's a little bit of similarities between this and some other fighting games that exist that, you know, this dev might have made before. Just throwing it out there, and just, you know, it looks pretty similar. Anyway, moving on. There's a dash. There's a back dash, yes. We already picked this up. So grab is A plus B. Right? So A plus B, the game theoretically has at least 2 attack buttons. Attack grab is the exact same thing. Okay. Conversion, I guess we'll get to that in a little bit. But geez, that went by fast. Conversion was like B plus what? B plus a skills button. So there's a skills button. And here's the crazy one. The game has a roll. You can roll in the game. What? Game has a roll. Does it have a back roll? Is it actual KOF back rolling? Probably not. Maybe not, but it does have a forward moving roll. Yeah, Grand Blue did as well. Grand Blue was a little, wasn't Grand Blue's a bit shorter? Granted, let's not get into the meandering topic. Some stuff is similar to Grand Blue for sure. However, there's a big thing here. The dodge is pressed forward while guarding. So that means that there has to be a guard button of some kind. All things considered, that means that there must be a guard button. So we're going to assume guarding is also an actual button. And we've already talked about guarding a bit. It's arguably the only thing that has me slightly concerned. Everything else in any of these trailers with the information that I have seen today has me ridiculously excited. And I am still on the front that everything else looks really good. So I'm going to keep my expectations sort of in check and hope. But there's a good reason why a guard button is traditionally troubling in 2D based games in general. While games like Mortal Kombat have obviously done it for forever, guarding essentially negates what is called a cross-up. And a cross-up is when you essentially jump over the opponent, hit him with an attack that allows like a cross-up and land on the other side and force the opponent to block in an opposite direction. So in a 2D game, cross-ups are a huge, huge, huge element of the game. And if you have a guard button, guard buttons will effectively take away, at least at the start. Probably at high level, this all completely changes. There's probably ways to break it completely. But at least at the start, the cross-up is effectively negated, right? The cross-up is essentially like, you just block. You don't have to worry about blocking the cross-up. The cross-up will just be blocked. Why do you need cross-ups though? Because when you're on a 2D plane of existence, there's so many ways that you can essentially like mix somebody up. I'm not saying it's specifically a bad thing. It's something that has existed in a few 2D fighting games I haven't liked. For example, the majority of fighting games that do have a block button have a pretty intense high-low situation, right? Where instead of cross-ups being a big thing that opens up the opponent, instead it's guessing between a high or low attack that is going to open you up, or a throw, right? I think the bigger question is when you have a guard button, what's the tech throw situation like? Like if I'm guarding, do you guarantee a throw, or can I still tech well after letting go of block? MKX 50/50s, well, even MKX, MK11, you know, for the most part, that's a decent example. So there's a lot of caveats. Like throws could end up being super powerful in this situation, where if they do have a guard button, there's a lot of stuff that obviously these guys are fighting game veterans. Arc System Works and Aiding are fighting game veterans. So I'm not gonna immediately jump up their ass and down their throat that having a block button makes the game terrible. I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic, and I think that they'll have a pretty good understanding that people will get opened up and schmixed in a variety of ways that is fun because everything else looks pretty fun. So that's pretty much my hot take on it right now. We'll see what happens. I don't think we've seen anything on a push block of some kind, so we will see. But let's move on. So there's a guard cancel. There is an actual alpha counter in some way, which is good if you're blocking too much, which it looks like this is the guard gauge up here. Yeah, a little bit of loss of guard gauge right there. So there's theoretically guard crushes. Damn, it takes a lot of MP, meter, whatever the heck it is. Actually, that was hers. Wait a minute. What did that? Dang, it took like half her bar. Wow, 100 meter. Whew. So guard ground tech roll activated automatically when landing after being hit while airborne. Okay, so you don't need a ground tech, similar to, I guess that's similar to Strive. There's no more need to press the tech button, like it sort of does its thing. The UI is sort of ugly. I'm seeing a lot of graphic designers in the chat tonight, like a lot. A lot of people that went to 7 years of graphic design school. I'm seeing a lot. I'm surprised everybody showed up at the same time. Okay, so this just means that any single time you get hit in the air and you hit the ground, there's not like a delayed wake-up scenario, or it doesn't seem like there is. Let's not get caught up into things like the UI. We'll have plenty of time to talk about all of that. So airborne tech roll. So you pop out of the air. You don't have to tech out. This automatically happens. And that's it. That is a weird ass basic actions video because they literally don't even go over the buttons. The most basic of actions. It gives us an idea that there's like an A and a B button, a guard button, a skill button, and that's about it. But dude, the most basic of actions is the buttons. Does it have a jump button? Yeah, we'll check out the move list for all the characters. We'll take a look at that after this thing. So that was the basic actions. Interesting, right? Definitely some stuff that we did not think was going to go a certain way. So let's go back to HP now. Game has 2 types of damage, which makes sense. White life and red life. Gradually recovered white life. Okay. And while maintaining a state of not being hit or guarding, it recovers. All right, so if you're not getting assaulted, it will not recover. Red damage can't be recovered over any time. Reduce the opponent's HP to 0. Thank you. Thank you for that information. What I'm curious of, like, is this, what is this? Is this like 3 rounds? Is it 5 rounds? What are we looking at here? Is it Killer Instinct style where you just essentially deplete health bars until they're dead? How many life bars do you get in regular Dungeon Fighter? Maybe this is the Awakening gauge or some shit? Anyway, let's move on because there's so much more. MP now. So here's what EX meter's kind of like. So MP moves, like big ass attacks, do cost MP. MP can be recovered in the following 3 ways. I'm going to stick my ass down here really fast. Actually, I'm going to stick my ass like right over here so we can see the MP gauge. So passing time without consumption. This is essentially MK11 like. Like your meter naturally has a refill limit to it, or a refill rate, right? However, unlike Mortal Kombat 11, here's the big difference. Landing attacks that does not use consumption will actually... Wait, hold on a second. Landing attacks that do not use meter will increase your bar. So that is much different than Mortal Kombat 11. So that acts a bit more traditionally like a fighting game meter, right? Like an EX meter. Sort of the thing that we're getting to is that in this game, your bar is going to be constantly recovering, and the more you're attacking your opponent, the more meter you will get. So seemingly, you're going to be getting a shit ton of bar back almost all the time if you're being aggressive, which seems kind of cool. That seems like they sort of want you to be active. That's the incentivization of getting the players to fight each other. You need to give a reason for people to get up each other's asses, you know? Or else people are just going to be playing a very specific spacing game. Yeah, they want you to have a lot of meter to mess around with. And conversion, which is undisclosed, right? Undisclosed how this works. It's a mystery. This conversion thing is a mystery. We don't know where until you fire up the 3rd video about conversion. This is so weird. This shit is so... Why? This is so weird. So you have to wait to another video, okay? Press conversion to activate when you have white damage remaining. Oh, that sounds very similar. There's a mechanic made by literally these developers that is very similar to this. On your HP to incur white damage. Receiving a small amount of red damage. Oh God, I can't even read this fast, dude. Receiving a small amount of red damage in exchange for MP. Okay, I like a small amount of red damage, but you get meter back. You get the resources to do big shit. Okay, this is called conversion. So my question is like, well, I mean, if it acts like certain other things that I'm thinking of, does it act like a cancel? If it's a cancel, then that is very similar to an important mechanic in another fighting game. In Tatsunoko versus Capcom, everybody knows that it had a really specific mechanic. It was called barbecue. And if you activated barbecue, you essentially got to cancel at the cost of the white health of your character. Barbecue And depending on how much bar you had, how much white health you had. Sorry, Baroque, barbecue, tomato. If you barbecued cancel in TVC, that was one of the big ways to extend combo damage in that game and get a whole bunch more damage. Because I think it also resets scaling too. So the amount of MP recovered depends on the amount of white damage lost. That is I think that's really similar to TVC. I'm not a huge TVC guy, but I think that's really similar to it. It was like scaled depending on how much you used. So here's the big reveal. Conversion can be used to cancel many different actions. And there we go. Wow, this isn't even comboing, right? This is all lining up exactly with the previous trailers. All this shit just looks really goddamn cool, but it's not really doing much. So it's unfortunate that these aren't especially being used in a... There was only one cancel in there, by the way. Right? Like that was just like an EX move, right? That was just like a big meter using move. At this point, this blue shit is barbecue cancel. Blue shit means barbecue. That's what I'm trying to teach you guys right now. So at that point, that's when you see the little bit of red health that he's got up here, or white health, it goes away. And he loses a little bit of damage. So what that means, and what barbecue essentially means from Tatsunoko versus Capcom, was that it was a mechanic when you could sacrifice a potential of your health to do a shit ton of damage. And it seems like a lot of that is still a bit of the meat and bones of what that mechanic is, because that was a pretty unique mechanic, is in this game. And that's not surprising because the developers of Tatsunoko versus Capcom is the exact same guys who are making this game. So it's interesting. It's not exactly like Baroque. I think there's a lot of little nuanced and differences in between the two. So don't go be like, I'm gonna go practice my barbecue combos in TVC for the next 30 minutes. It's gonna act a little bit differently, but there's a little bit of, it's probably like an evolution of the system, probably a bit easier to use in some ways, you know? Yeah, it is. It's just different because TVC is an assist-based game, and you have easy ways to regen your health in that game. Like, the overall usage of it is going to be a lot different. But in some practicality, it's like if they adjusted it and made it for a single-player game, it's practically Baroque cancels from Tatsunoko versus Capcom, which is kind of interesting. So that's literally all they gave us. We got some basic actions. We got the fact that the game has a block button. The game has some pretty interesting movement. It has a roll. We have MP, which actually acts as a constantly refueling resource that allows you to recover life. I'm gonna move my ass up here. Actually, it allows you to recover your MP to do more offense. And it isn't just like Mortal Kombat 11 refueling gauges. No, it refuels automatically, and it also refuels if you're more offensive. It refuels faster. That's not it. This is all the stuff that they had dropped in like the past 12 hours. I'm not even kidding you. Big reveal that I feel we already knew. The one that we already kind of knew, but now it's just confirmed. The game has rollback netcode. Very good. I mean, we already knew this, right? This is practically a double down confirmation, but the words and the stuff that I've been bitching about in fighting games for the past 10 plus years practically on a public forum, very good. We're getting some places. All it took was a global pandemic for everybody to complain about this shit. All it took was a global pandemic and fighting games to essentially go online only, to be like, hey, we're fucking sick of it. We're fucking done. Everybody's fucking done. We're all fucking going through too much shit. I don't want to have to deal with all this crap. What are we looking at? So here's a big ass reveal. Here's a big ass reveal of what the hell's happening in this game, because we still technically do not know what the button layout is going to be like. So seemingly it's 2 attacks. Seemingly the game is only 2 attacks. A and a B button. And then we have a special button, like a skill button. And then we have a super button, which is essentially for the MP skill button, right? And then there's an awakening skill button. And I don't know, all that's being shown is this down here. The interesting thing is that each character seems to come with like an attribute, which I think is kind of fascinating. And Berserker's is he recovers HP depending on damage inflicted. Kind of interesting. There's like passives for for characters, probably similar to, I'm assuming that is just a thing that's in Dungeon Fighter, right? So passives, like unique passives per character, dope. You know what? That's dope. I like giving characters gimmicks that you just get and you don't have to worry about, right? Give me, yeah, I'm curious of like how Awakening works. Is this like an instinct mode? I don't know. We haven't seen it yet, but I hope it is, man. Oh God, do I 100% hope that you essentially get an instinct activation or like a V-trigger activation in some way, and you can go fuck shit up? Oh man, oh man. But anyway, the big thing that everyone's worried about is right here. Special moves. And what are we seeing? Down, right, left, neutral, special. This is going to be very familiar to a lot of people because this is literally how Power Rangers specials work, where you have neutral, down, left, and right, and you have air specials, right, as well. So Power Rangers, this is identical to how Power Rangers is. And it's really, to me, this is not a big deal because we've already learned that Power Rangers can be an absolutely bonkers fighting game. There can still be super challenging things, even though your specials are down button, forward button, left button, right button. This is the thing that I'm arguably the least worried about. I'm the least worried about this because here's the interesting thing. That's not even interesting. The interesting shit is over here. So wait. The things that use your MP, because blue shit, right? Blue shit? Remember blue barbecue shit? The things that actually use MP are the same thing. Neutral, down, right, and left. However, Shoryu, fireball forward, fireball back. What? So I'm hoping, here is how you absolutely make this completely okay, right? You completely alleviate this issue 100%. And I think Grand Blue did this a great way. Even though Grand Blue isn't a game that I love, I can actually acknowledge the things that game does very well. And yes, I like the fact that if you manually do the input, you get a bigger reward. I am completely fine with fighting games making shit easy on people. Make things as easy as possible. Allow people to do all these moves that might be hard. Just let people do it. But give people that choose to do the original, more difficult version a reward in some way. Let us, if we choose to do Shoryu, fireball forward, fireball back, if we choose to do it that way, let us get less MP cost or something like that, right? Let us say, takes 10% less MP. That's all it needs to be. It needs to be a slight thing better. It just needs to give us a little bit of an incentive to use the manual version. If there's no incentive to use the manual version over this, I think that's kind of disappointing. I'd be kind of like, just give us a little bit more damage, just something for doing the motion manually, you know? I'm going to take Berserker, who's the most basic bitch, and we're not going to go into training mode, chat. I'm fucking crazy. I've been thinking about this all day. We're going to fire up this game, and I'm not going to go into training mode. We're literally going to arcade approach it. I'm going to click it on. We're going to go into ranked matchmaking or some shit without even like, I'm going to look at the buttons maybe. That'll be it. Because even on an arcade machine, you can see the buttons. So I'm going to be a crazy motherfucker, and we're going to jump right into this shit the same way that they were approaching us with their marketing. They were like, we're not telling you shit, and then it's like, oh, here's all this shit. Nah, I'm gonna go into this hella drive.